Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about escaping death, and that may seem like a really intense thing to talk about, but we escape death every single moment of every single day. We just don't know about it, and the reason why is because everything happens for a reason, and everything is under divine timing and divine protection, and we go through moments where we actually do escape death. The angels tell me this all the time. Sometimes those moments happen and they're ingrained in our mind because it's such a big experience that happens to us. And other times it can be something as simple as being stuck in traffic and being delayed so that we don't get involved in an accident. And we have to really realise that everything happens for a reason, and if you're delayed somewhere and you're getting agitated and angry and frustrated because you're going to miss the deadline on something or you're going to be late for something, then realise that divine timing could be at work and you could be being saved from something. I know people who've been delayed in a queue of traffic for like 5 minutes and missed a huge accident. And you know, at the time they were very angry and frustrated because they were stuck in this traffic, but wow, were they grateful when they found out they missed out on that. And this happens over and over and all the time. And the reason I've put the title as Escaping Death on this video is because I'm going to talk to you about 2 major events that happened in my life where I escaped death. And you know, this was way before I knew about angels or the protection or the power of angels or anything like that. And it just fascinates me now when I think about it. You know, it gives me absolute goosebumps and it's very scary at the same time. And you may have gone through some kind of experience like this. If you have comments, let me know on the comments below, or email me and let me know, because these things fascinate me and it's just total proof that we're protected and loved and guided by something so much bigger than us. So much bigger than us that, you know, we think as humans we have control over things and that we control our lives and what happens to it, but everything's under divine protection. God, the creator, the universe, the higher power, whoever you believe in, has a much bigger plan for your life than you. And if it's not your time, it's not your time. If you have a purpose here on this earth, no matter what you think, you will not be taken away until it's your time. And that's the absolute truth. And you may have seen, I mean, I've seen some crazy videos on YouTube where, you know, they show things like accidents happening or about to happen, and then they show unexplained beings coming in and whipping people out of the way. And this is really how it happens, and it's amazing, you know. And sometimes the angels will give us little glimpses of this to show just how powerful it actually is. And 2 really powerful things happen within my life where I escaped death that I'd just like to talk to you about, and I hope you find them as fascinating as me. So, you know, there's been various times in my life where I've been saved by something bigger than me, and I haven't really understood it until I started working with the angels. But there was 2 events where I could have been involved in serious accidents, and I know that the angels got involved and saved me from those. And the first one was during my teenage years, and I can't really remember how old I was. I must have been 18, 19, but I was very reckless during those years, you know. I did a lot of alcohol and I didn't really care about anything. I just wanted to party all the time, as most teenagers do. And I was going somewhere. I think we were I think we'd been somewhere or was coming back, and there was a group of us. There was like 7 of us, and we had to go on a motorway, and we were driving, I'm pretty sure we were driving back from somewhere. It was such a long time ago that the actual details are blocked out. It was the event itself of the escaping death that sticks in my mind. And we all piled into this car, and it wasn't a very big car, And I can't even really remember the group of people that I was with because it was so long ago. But I just remember that the person driving wasn't a very capable driver, and alcohol had been drunk by all of us. And we all piled into this car, which is obviously very illegal. But I remember that I was sitting on somebody's knee in the back seat, right behind the driver. And, you know, there was 2 people in the front, and then there was 3 in the back, and then there was like 3, 4, 5, yeah, there was 2 of us sitting on knees. I'm pretty sure there was 7 of us. I just remember I was sitting on someone's knee, so obviously I wasn't strapped in, and the person whose knee I was sitting on wasn't strapped in either. So it was all very, very dangerous, and it was very, very late at night. So, you know, it was probably about 11:45, something like that, 11:30, 11:45 at night. And we were driving very, very fast. And all I can remember is we were driving along on the motorway, and then the person who was driving just decided to pull over onto the hard shoulder. Now, when it happened, we weren't, you know, in the back, we weren't really sure what was going on, but the driver just said he felt a force pull him over to the side of the road, like there was something bigger than him saying stop. And he said he couldn't really see what was going on in front, so he just felt guided. Now, this is a drunk person, remember, a very reckless teenager, you know, not very capable driver, just felt guided to pull over to the side of the road. So we all got out of the car, and we could smell smoke, and we knew something wasn't quite right, and we got out of the car, and there was like literally black smoke everywhere. So where he said he felt like he couldn't see and he was being guided to move over to the side of the road, it was because the road was actually covered in absolute fog of black smoke, and you couldn't see anything in front, and there was cars coming and just stopping behind us. And we walked in front of the smoke, and there was a huge accident, and it created piles of smoke that you couldn't see. And the reason you couldn't see was because there was this huge accident, and because we'd stopped, it had kind of created the stopping of all the traffic behind us as well. So we'd escaped death because we'd been stopped from getting involved in this huge pile-up. It was a very scary experience, and you know, it was only years after that happened that I actually realised that this driver was guided to pull over to the side of the road, not only to stop all of us from dying or being severely injured in this huge pile-up, but we also, from us stopping, guided all the traffic behind to stop. And you know, on the motorway, you know how fast it is, you know, and it was late at night, so there wasn't a lot of traffic around anyway, but there'd been this huge accident, and this driver being guided over stopped so much more devastation from happening. And that's pretty amazing. And you know, I just think now, and I think, wow, if I was sitting on someone's knee, I wasn't strapped in, that could have been severe for me. You know, that could have been the end for me. But the angels knew that I had a purpose here on this life, on this earth. And, you know, it wasn't my time to die. And I escaped death on that day. And I know without a fact that the angels got involved in that, you know. And I'm sure if I saw the event happen now, not that, you know, I'd even be so stupid now as to sit on somebody's knee in the back of a car, but knowing what I know about angels and as an angel therapist, I probably would have seen something, you know, the angels surrounding the vehicle or surrounding the area. And that just completely fascinates me. So that was the first one that happened. And then the second one was a bit more intense. Again, not working with angels at the time. I think I was about, I don't even know how old I was. I think I was about 25, 26, something like that. Not completely sure how old I was. But at the time, I was working on a factory. And the factory was on an industrial estate. And it was very limited to just the people who worked there. You know, that was all the traffic was. There was nothing else. There was no main roads or anything like that. And our factory was kind of here, and you pulled out and there was like a roundabout, and I did strange shifts, so I'd do like early and late. And this particular night I was doing a late shift, and one of my friends was giving me a lift home, who I worked with. And what we used to do, because, you know, we both smoked at the time, we finished our shift at like midnight, and we got to the car, and it was very cold. It was a very cold night, and there was only me and her, and we sat in the car and waited for all the traffic to go, because you can imagine a busy factory, midnight, everybody piles out, you know, traffic everywhere. So, you know, we kind of were sitting talking, we were smoking and, you know, relaxing, and we didn't actually leave the car park till about 12:20. And by this time everybody had gone and there was nobody around, and it was very, very bizarre what happened. Very bizarre, you know. And we were pulling out of where we were, and we were going round the corner, and, you know, my friend was driving faster to go towards this roundabout, and it just all kind of happened in slow motion, you know. And you hear people talking about when they're involved in these things happen in slow motion, and I never really understood or got that until this moment. And it really did happen in slow motion. There was a lorry coming around this roundabout, and we were coming towards the roundabout, and it kind of all happened in slow motion. And after, Lisa said she felt like she wasn't in the car. She said she felt that somebody took her out of her body and put their hands over her hands on the steering wheel and completely took over what was going on, because she was driving, and it happened so fast. She braked and managed, and it was like the car, the only way I can describe this was like the car was being pulled back. That's how it felt, that was the experience. But because it all happened in slow motion and it all happened so quickly, it was just the weirdest experience. But this lorry was coming towards us, and we were being pulled back, and the lorry jackknifed around this roundabout. And all I could see, I can see it now in my mind, very, very, you know, it's very visually, and I'm just thinking, I don't want to think about it so much because I don't want to manifest anything like this happening again. But I need to explain this because I escaped death completely on this day. And this lorry jackknifed, and it was like the big part of it was coming towards the car, and we were going towards that, and it was like all happening in slow motion. There was sparks coming off it, and, you know, bits of fire, and it was very, very scary. But it was like our car was being pulled back, and Lisa just didn't know how this was happening, my friend who was driving. And we missed, obviously, being involved in this accident completely because we were pulled. And, you know, for about probably a good 15-20 minutes, we just stood there in complete shock. We got out of the car, we were shaking, we were in complete shock. Nobody was hurt, the driver of the lorry was fine as well. But it was all very surreal because it was in the middle of the night. There was nobody else around, nobody. There was only us and this lorry. There was no other traffic, there was no other people around. It was very bizarre until obviously the police came and whatnot. But it happens, and Lisa says, you know, she felt like she was not in control at all. If she was in control, she'd have gone straight into that lorry. But she said somebody took her out of her body. She said she felt like she was floating. She could see the car. She said she wasn't there. And somebody took over and grabbed the steering wheel, and the car was being pulled back, and it all happened in slow motion. And there again, it wasn't my time. And those are two huge events that have always stuck in my mind, that have made me realise that there's a bigger picture to everything. You know, and this was even before I found the angels, because it was after my 30th birthday, remember, when I found the angels. And this was mid-20s. So, you know, very psychic and spiritual very much then, and into the supernatural. But never angels, you know. Believed in Jesus and all these other things, but never you know, I kind of knew a little bit about angels, but I didn't know, you know, anything like I know now. Obviously, I just kind of knew that there was angels, just like I knew there was Jesus and God, and that was it, really. I was more bothered about vampires and werewolves and all other kinds of supernatural things from things I watched on the telly, you know. So, very, very intense experience of escaping death, and, you know, because she was, you know, Lisa was so amazed by the experience. I mean, we're not even in contact now. Lisa, if you ever see this video, you know, and the angels work miracles, if you ever watch this video, please contact me, because, you know, we were such good friends, and it's amazing how you lose touch with people. But, you know, I always remember that, how you felt after that experience, that you felt that something completely took over your body, and I'm sure that's how it was. And I'm not a driver, you know. I've never been guided to drive. I've never wanted to drive. I've never felt desire to drive. It's never held me back from doing anything in my life. And I really feel that perhaps the main reason why I haven't ever drove is because of these things. Perhaps, you know, I wasn't meant to drive. Perhaps if I drove, I would have been involved in an accident. Who knows? Who knows? Everything happens for a reason. But that's 2 miracle death escapes that happened to me. And I know that both times the angels stopped the car. The angels stopped the car both times before anything major could happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you, angels, for loving me, protecting me and guiding me always. And I know that right now you are being loved, protected and guided by not only your amazing guardian angel who loves you and is with you always, but by the amazing archangels and angels of heaven, that it's their mission to protect you. And if you're getting near to something that isn't on your life path, or isn't right for your journey, or isn't meant for you, then trust me, these powerful beings of light, these messengers of God, will come in, and it'll be their assignment to look after and save you. And this happens all the time. And, you know, I just want to bring this up as well, that, you know, during our lifetimes, we go through at least 3. The angels tell me it's at least 2 or 3 times in our lives where we have made a soul contract with God the Creator, you know, whoever you believe in. In your soul contract for this lifetime, there will be specific times, pinpoints in time, where your soul has the choice to pass away or continue. Okay, they're very clear on this. The angels tell me this. They've told me this over and over and over again. That, you know, during your lifetime, there'll be at least 2 or 3. So, okay, they're saying sometimes 5, depending on the person, the life path, the soul journey, etc. That you can either decide to give up and pass away, or to carry on, fight on and continue your life. And people who have severe dis-ease in the body, like cancers or something like that, go through these things. So, you know, my mum, for example, went through mouth cancer in 2014, and this would have been one of her times where she could have either given up and passed away or fight on. And she chose to fight on. And that decision is up to you in your human physical experience. You know, the soul knows all things, you know, the soul knows all things. And before we're born into this physical body, because we're all source energy and spiritual beings, we are given these choices, and this is okay with the Creator, you know, because if it's not okay with the Creator, and if you haven't made these, you know, this contract with the Creator before you were born, then trust me, no matter what happens, you would not be able to pass away before your time. But if it's during one of these moments, and that's why suicide happens, by the way, that's why suicide happens, because if you're committing suicide, which is always the last resort, and I wouldn't recommend it, you know, but if you think it could be suicide or an illness or an accident or anything like that, if you decide that at that moment in time that it's your time, and you know you've given up and you don't want to fight on, and that's in your life contract, that's one of your moments, then you know you will pass away. And if you decide that, you know, no, I want to fight on, even at the point of death, something will happen, some miracle will happen. And that's why, you know, some people who are committing suicide are found by people, because they decide that when, you know, during that decision to pass away, that it's not what they want to continue, they want to fight on, and the angels will send in help. And that happens, you know. But if you're committing suicide and you think, no, I've had enough, that's it, I want to end it, and it's in your life path, then, you know, that's when you pass over. And this may be hard to hear, and they keep closing throat chakra because, you know, it may be hard to hear, it may be a hard pill to swallow. That's what they're saying to me, but it's the absolute truth. And if you've gone through a suicidal event and something happened to save you or bring you out of it, or you know somebody who went through something like that, then that's because it wasn't their time. They decided to fight on. And I went through a time, obviously with the phagophobia that I've spoke about, you know, where I could have given up. I really felt like I could have given up, but no, I chose to fight on. And that's really a big turning point for me, because that's when I became very in tune with the angels and became the person that I am today. So, you know, going through that made me who I am. And obviously these events that happened to me, the escapes of death, weren't obviously anything to do within my contract, but the angels saved me because I had work to do. You know, I had work to do, and you have work to do as well. So, you know, always remember that anything you go through, it's here to teach you something and learn something. You know, you're learning something as a soul. So you get stronger and more powerful with every heartbreak, with every illness, with every dis-ease, with every accident, with every career change, with every house move, with every loss. Everything is to teach us things, and we're all here to learn and grow. And it just fascinates me, and that's why I wanted to do this video. And this idea for this video actually came to me in the middle of the night. I came downstairs and I wrote down the title, Escaping Death, Saved by Angels. And then I went back to sleep, and I woke up this morning, I forgot all about it. And I looked at the piece of paper and I thought, wow, I need to do this video. So that's what I'm doing today. So just have a little think today about any time that you could have been saved by the angels, because, you know, the angels are always with you, protecting you. And share stories with me, it's fascinating. And, you know, a bit of an interesting, intense conversation for a Saturday morning. But I just thought, how amazing is that? Have a fabulous day, and I'll see you soon.